So you're gonna
Like,
maybe we're live. I'm excited to have you guys there. Welcome to the NA show, guys. And today I'm very excited to have my old friend and a very great sparring partner with me. I should say, my teacher in wrestling and grappling. We're gonna be talking about some sports and some correlation with sports and a life with things that we correlate sports related to life and why some athletes are top of the game and some athletes are some part of the game. So that makes a difference. To be on the top athlete takes a lot of different things, but that's why we're here for, to have Andy as my friend here as my guest today. Before I introduce this guy, let me tell you what he's a multiple collegiate wrestling champion from, right? And he won a lot of couple of states, and he's high caliber wrestling in a very classic. I like the style he wrestles. And his father was a wrestler. He was in a team. The whole entire family was in wrestling. Andy, before I go into more depth, please welcome to the show. First of all, I'm very happy to have you on the show, and I'm excited to reunite with you again. We haven't met for almost a long time.
Yes. Thank you for having me. So honored to be here. And likewise, it's been too long. So wrestled majority of my life, and up to probably 20 years old. And then after that is when I started, when I met you, when I joined mixed martial arts. And that's when my athletic career or aspect changed. So,
That's amazing. Yeah. And tell me about your background. Your father was arrested. I was so impressed with your dad, even when he was late. When I met him, he was wrestling. He was slamming me several times over my head. It was the most humbling experience, I should say. And no matter how he looked, it was so deceiving how much strength he had.
That was his welcome. Every time someone new came to the gym, he had to slam everybody.
So. Even when Randy Couture came, he was going with him. I saw that part. It was the most impressive thing I've ever seen. And when you come from the background, it's so interesting to see that your father was so dedicated to sport, and he gave you the same exact discipline.
Yes. So it's funny you mentioned that. My father, at a very young age, taught me how sports has fundamentals, and those fundamentals could be in transition into your daily life. And as a very young athlete, I really quickly learned how difficult it was to actually become a champion. It was a very steep mountain to climb every time. You know, the sacrifice, the dedication, and so much that you had to give of yourself in order to reach that point. And in order to remain a champion was something on a different level. You know, the constant, telling yourself, I could be more, constantly humbling yourself with the fact that this isn't enough. I could do more. I could push myself. I could go further in myself. So in a lot of ways, that's life. The truth is we need to humble ourselves with all that we do. In so many aspects, we reach goals in our lives, and when we get there, we can't really tell ourselves, I made it. That's it. Well, you made it. You've always wanted to be a nurse, and you get to the point where you are a nurse, but then how good of a nurse are you? How good of a coworker? How good of a human being are you? There's always so much room to growth, and I really did try to bring those fundamentals from sports into my life. The truth is we're all athletes. We are warriors. We all fight. We all have our daily challenges, and there's so much that you need to overcome and to get to a certain level in your life. But one important thing is enjoy the process.
The journey is the most valuable thing. But before talking about the journey, I will get into the journey part, but I really want to mention that, first of all, how we actually met. And as an athlete, I was good in my particular sports of kickboxing. And then I wanted to go transition for, like you said, what's next? When I did my field of expertise, I went to another sport. And there were so many people coming to your gym. You had a unique place in the back of your garage. You made a gym, and we have great fighters come there, like Rachel, world-class wrestler from Randy Couture to Carl Parisian to Manny, Gambini, and Roman, and all the great fighters were coming back to the garage and realizing that, we had so many people come there. The reason and I always think all these warriors, when they connect, there's nothing to do with their skills. It has to do with the energy and vibration they carry on. And that's the part we connected so fast. There's no sign of because you're an athlete, so we become friends. No, we're two different fields. And I want people to recognize that there's certain respect in a certain way, because we know our skills. You might not be good in my field, I'm not be good in your field, but there's a certain level of connection that we start respecting, and that connection you can't buy or trade or learn.
Absolutely.
It's a unique feeling of vibration. I always emphasize people, telling people like, you can feel without a word coming out of your mouth what this guy is all about. And when I connected with you, we became instantly good friends. And I think it's the recognizing another lion within yourself.
Yeah. So a little bit about you.
No,
in my eyes, hold on, my turn now. So when I did meet Majid, when we did meet, I was an athlete and you were a coach, and that was the relationship that we formed. Later on, when I became a coach, I look back at the way you taught me and the things you did that made me really appreciate you even more. The truth is, I believe every great coach always adapts to their athlete. And you did an amazing job of that. You had your own foundation of that, but you didn't really come in there to change someone. You really came in to see how you could implement them, how you could add to their arsenal. And I think that truly defines a great coach, because we are all so different. I'm a wrestler. You're a kickboxer. If I think to myself, I'll be able to kick the way you kick, I'll be a fool. Now, that doesn't mean I can't be able to work at it and come to a point. But the truth is, body styles are so different. Everybody's frame is different. The reach, length, there's so much that goes into it. Will I actually work? Will this actually be beneficial for me? Can I execute it the way that I'm supposed to execute it? You did such a great job of adapting that and to implement of stuff and then to hone in, because the truth is, every great coach grows with their athlete individually. And an athlete by itself, an athlete alone, why do they refer to coaches as parents? Because the truth is, it's a lot like parenting. My wife and I were blessed with twins, and I see my kids now. My son, since he started walking, he was kicking the soccer ball. Nobody taught him. He just started kicking the soccer ball. So you pay attention and you adapt, and you're like, all right, I'm gonna put him into soccer. Maybe he excels, maybe he does well. And if it's not for him, that's fine. But you did a really great job of paying attention, because the truth is when we're preparing for a fight, when we're getting ready for a fight, and we're going through all that diet, discipline, sacrifice, the mental battles that we have to get through, we're going through a lot. And when you have that emotion going into you, it's really hard to really see everything with the bigger picture. And you did a great job of that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I like the compliment. I'll take that sponsorship from this guy. Thank you for that. But I do have to mention, training is not just teaching. Training is understanding the psyche of the person who you're dealing with. So when you deal with somebody, you have to know his strengths, you have to know his weaknesses. And when you know his strengths, then you start focusing on the weakness and build it up as a level of the weakness of them. But you can't push too much. And that's another way of understanding abilities of people's gift and what they can go forward, what they cannot go forward. You balance it out. Teaching is that, and getting to the next question. And the reason we became such a good friends, because there's a relation of trusting each other. And once you know that we can trust each other, then it's not just about fighting. It's about trusting. You got my back, I got your back, and we got this done. I know whatever I can give you, I'll give you the best possible way I can give you scenario. And you shined up, because I have a lot of people, you can help them, but they don't want to get helped. That's another thing. You have students who want to learn, but they don't want to learn. They don't want to put the time. Yeah. They want to put the emphasis. And I remember when I first came out, you slammed me so hard over your head, 360, boom. You slammed me, and I said, let's do it again. You said, what? And you slammed me again, and again, and again. And I said, I'm not going to stop till he learn how he slams me upside down.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, that's a lesson within itself, honestly, because like I said, when I met you, you were a coach, but here's a coach coming into a discipline that doesn't know and is in there training with everybody. That's so humbling, honestly, because the truth is, being humble is allowing yourself to grow. Is telling yourself, I don't know everything. Is always telling yourself, I have room. I could do more. And sometimes, like I said, when you're caught up in the moment and you're young and you have all this thing going and you think you're on top of the world and you can't be beat, the truth is, situations like that, when they happen, even though we might not realize it, it teaches us a lot. It teaches a lot in the fact that, like, he's putting himself out there. So what makes me, why can't I do it?
Yeah.
You understand? Because you've accomplished so much in your life. You know, you're Benny the Jet's prodigy. I mean, that was, I remember when I first met you, it was very, like, not like fearful, intimidating, but intimidating. I was like, wow, this guy is like actually, and I've seen your matches and I've seen everything you've done, and it was always so inspiring. So it was intimidating, but it was a good intimidation. It was like, I'm gonna get to work with this guy. Will I be able to, you know, rise to the occasion, kind of thing? You know what I'm saying? So
you put me on a plateau way too high, but I'm just
I'm just speaking the truth. I will vouch for everybody you've ever trained with, athlete or not athlete, that it's well deserved.
Andy, let's change the subject towards you. This is for you to be at this moment. But I do want to say that I've recognized, I've never respected wrestling till I wrestled with you, and how insane strength you have. And even though I grappled we had Carl Praising at the time, one of the top grapplers. He was at the time one of the top grapplers in UFC, and very strong. Yes. And he was very dominant before he fell into a hole that we don't want to talk about. And he was incredible. I used to wrestle with him. But when I started wrestling with you, it was a world of a difference, recognizing that the strength was very different. You have grown up with this. And that strength, when you recognize your strength, you start recognizing strength in your personal life also, making decisions, having conversations with people, and not coming with arrogance, and having very humble attitude. Noticing that you have all the strength in the world, and the way you approach people and how you conducted yourself in the public was very unique, and I really love that. And I think the way you interact with people really teaches us that you have spoken a language. And where I want to take with this, like, everybody has a language. I spoke language of kickboxing that translated into the world of my public relation with other people.
Yes.
And you spoke the language of wrestling, and you brought it into your personal life. The way you conduct yourself with your family, your dad, the way he respects you. There's an honor system. And I really appreciate that any language that people out there play, tennis, racquetball, skiing, bicycling, there's a language we all play. And yes, we relate with those language. And how we come up with those language is how we deal with each other.
Yes.
And I want to ask you this language, how long did it take you to understand, to deal with the people? Because the way you spoke with your hands and feet in wrestling, you brought it in the world of your personal life.
So it took me, I guess, until when I started coaching to like really mature and understand like this process that was brought to me by my father and so on and so forth. You know, there's a root and foundation to everything, you know. We all have something in common. We are all human beings. Wrestling didn't define who I am.
Mm-hmm.
Before I was a wrestler, before I was anything,
exactly,
we're all human beings. So to understand that and to say, okay, we first I'm a human being before anything else, which humbles you already. You know, you're not better than anyone else. There's so much in your life that you need to fix on. It's always about looking within and humbling yourself. Once you have that aspect, you bring that into your wrestling. Now, when I was younger, I thought maybe it was the other way around. Maybe I'm a wrestler and that defined it. But the truth is, before I was old enough to become a wrestler, there's a thing that we go through in its life, and you start learning respect and all this stuff that comes with life. And then you start implementing that into your wrestling. And it was very, very big, especially in my father's gym. You know, first he would always say, first you need to be a good person before you're anything else, because you could have everything in the world, but if you don't have that, it doesn't matter. So that really taught us, and that also implements in your life. You know, what are the true riches of life? Is it really the belt around my waist that I won a championship? It really doesn't matter. You know, those things in life we're never going to take with us. Those are memories that we are creating. So it was later on that I truly like started thinking about this and started understanding, because like I said, when you start putting on the coach hat, now it's exactly, now it's like,
because there are so many coaches out there, and there's so many schools out there, schools of thoughts where they don't have that kind of respect or system. They think if you're good or you're arrogant, you become. They don't teach this symbol. Like I've seen so many gyms, they don't have that the tenacity of understanding this is more valuable than respect and is everything. And I've seen so many schools, like they have great fighters, but they have, and then what happens? The attitude changes, and then changes the personality.
Yeah.
I don't think the reality is the personality is the attitude.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yes, and the truth is that could really happen to anybody. That could happen to me. I could be in a gym and we could be about discipline and we could be all about that. And the truth is we choose on what we want. Ultimately, we're the captain of our ship. We decide on like where we're going to steer it. We have our coaches like pointing in the right direction, and it's always in the direction that we want to go to. Because like I said, a great coach adapts to you. So it's not really leading someone away from themselves. It's leading someone towards themselves, right? Because you see the values and all that. Now, again, it's up to me. If you're my coach and I'm your athlete, then you tell me all this stuff. But if I don't like accept it, because you said it earlier perfectly. You said if you're not willing to learn,
there's nothing I can do.
Nothing. And that's so many stages in our life. I could become a champion. Then all of a sudden I'm a champion. I'm the best. But it's great to have that mentality. You've earned it. You've got there. There was a road that you had to get to. There's so many battles that you had to win to get there. Appreciate that road, and then you look back at it. But the second I just start saying like I am truly the best, and like have that mentality and not give myself room to grow, is the second that I will cease to grow, and someone will come and take it away one day.
And you're only good as your last fight. That I would say that means your last attitude, your last focus tells you where you are in the last state of mind.
Absolutely.
But every time I would come to the gym, there was something very predominant, like anything. When in kickboxing, I had started an early career, the factor of fear. But that eventually went away because I was creating fear when I was so comfortable with it. But going to new sport, dealing with you, there's a huge big fear comes in there. You get picked up and slammed once and 100. Like every time you go there, they will slam you, and funny there you can't. There's no escape. So tell me what fear has done for you, and that has, for me, it has done remarkable things. Because even when I came to you, I was in my mid-30s, and I was getting slammed up in a sport that I have never done before, and having that fear, that really helped me. I always run into the fear, and so tell me. Like as a wrestler, there's a huge big fear of winning, losing, and all the competition, because you put so much time you have hundreds of tournaments, you travel around the world, around US competition. What does fear did for you for the competition, and what did it do for you outside the ring in your personal life?
Taught me so much. Fear teaches you so much, right? It teaches you your weaknesses, your vulnerabilities, what in life you need to work on, truly, aside just sports itself. Having fear is not always a bad thing. Now, what do I say by that? And having fear to me sounds like a lot like being humble. Having a little bit of fear is always giving yourself room to grow. Having fear, or telling yourself, I'm never truly that ready, because truly being fearless is coming to a point where you're just like, I'm good here. So bringing that into my everyday life, fear teaches you so much in the aspect of, you look at children, when they're born, everything is so pure and so innocent and very genuine. When they feel fear, and then they know that something is cautious, or if they feel happy or hungry, everything is very, very plain and basic. The truth is, all those instincts that we have in our lives, we need to listen to it. Because if that fear is there, then that fear is telling us something. Maybe we're just not ready enough. Maybe there's something that we need to improve on. Why is it there? Why is it there? So we need to ask ourselves that question in all that we do. We're studying for a test, and the test comes, and am I going to pass? Why am I even thinking that? Because I didn't study. right? So there's so many things that that we take those fundamentals and we put it in sports, and the truth is it's really just life. It is life, because you don't have to be an athlete to have that mentality. When you have that mentality, you realize that it's just everyday life. Athletes have challenges just like everybody else has challenges.
And I think if you look at the greatest warriors, Alexander the Great to the Great, they were actually battling in the battlefield with battles like real people. And I think they were great leaders because they had face to face experience how to feel the emotion, and understanding and recognizing the intuition of seeing something ahead of the game. They could recognize, even we don't have no cell phones, no pagers, we don't have those communication. We didn't have UPS. So these people were communicating all around the world and conquering the world. And the reason they were able to make better decisions, because they have very good intuition. They were able to connect, just like when you wrestle. You know something's coming. When the guy's setting something up, it's not because he's moving a certain way, because you train so much. You know that something is coming when he does that.
Yes.
And that intuition, any athlete knows for boxing, which it punches so fast and so quick. You can see from kickboxing, the kick comes so fast and quick. But before it comes, you recognize that move. And that part, I want to go into more detail, because a lot of people don't know that as an athlete, as a policeman or fireman or anybody who can feel something coming, they can recognize. Like a bodyguard, he's walking through it, and something he feels something's right away. There's something is right. I give an example in my last, I think it was a couple podcasts back. I said, if you put a deer in a telescope, and one of my great hunter friends, he said, you won't recognize I have a deer in a telescope far away. He can't even smell it, feel nothing. I had a telescope on the deer and the deer looks up, turns around, and starts running. I said, do you know what that is? That is an animal intuition that we all have. There were so many times, like I give an example, the motorcycle, when I used to ride motorcycle, I'm going the freeway and I feel like something's not right. This car is going to do something. He's driving, and then right off the bat, it cuts off. That gift that we have, we're able to hone it much more when we are tested on a regular basis, just like you in wrestling. When you wrestle, how many times have you felt that intuition? Tell me about this, because you can't be in the top level of wrestling. You can't be in the top level of this. And with your father's experience and passing on to your second generation, can you point that intuition, how important that is? And I don't want to explain, because your field is very different. I want to tell me from your point of view.
That's a big secret that I will reveal, and what that truly is. When you're an athlete, every day you wake up and there's certain things that you have to do in order to get to a certain chapter, which is a fight. Let's just say mixed martial arts, right? UFC, a big fight that you have to prepare for. You wake up every day, you discipline yourself, you wake up, you got to put in the time. Every day is a continuation until you reach a certain point. Now, when you reach that certain point and the cage closes behind you,
it's over.
It's go time. But what does that really mean? What does that really mean? To me, it's living in the moment. Nothing else. Nothing else at that moment matters except that point. The truth is, you can't help but feel that way. If you are not living in that moment, if you are not there, it's going to be a long night for you. Do you imagine? And you take that aspect and you put it in your daily life. You say, you know what? Like, if I don't wake up every day and I'm not in the moment, and my mind's like everywhere. And I speak for myself. I do it all the time.
Same here.
Exactly. When we all, in some certain ways, shapes, do it. And I've recognized that later on in my life, because if you're not in the moment, if you don't wake up and say, like, or if the cage closes behind you and you're like, I have to be aware. Where's his hands? Where's his feet? What is he doing? You're not speaking to one another. There are no words saying. Although some people do speak to each other in the cage. It's usually harsh words amongst each other, but
it's a different language.
There's you have to say, that's the sense. It's more of a feeling. It's a thing.
Intuitions get very highlighted,
and it's so much about life. If you're honed in and you're doing one thing at a time and you give it your all, it's a lot like living in the moment. And the truth is, every day of an athlete's life has to be living in the moment, because if you don't, then you didn't really give everything you had in training.
Mm-hmm.
You really didn't do everything you were supposed to do,
Mm-hmm.
right? So everything is really truly connected.
Yeah. And you know, like all the Buddhist monks will tell you to be in the moment and be in the Zen state constantly. Being in this constant Zen, it is a constant struggle to it. And it doesn't come in one day. You just don't wake up like as a discipline. Even now when I'm in my, you know, in my not athlete shape, but I still wake up 5 a.m. I already did my 5-mile run, a couple hundred squats and a couple hundred push-ups. And that's a discipline that I have agreement to myself. And as a young athlete, as you get older, you realize the focus, some people lose the focus, but your dad and some athletes, they never back away.
Yeah.
And the reason is they know the consequences for it.
Yes.
You never lose the focus till the end of your life. And that thing goes to your, in same parallel goes to your part of your life, that everything you conduct is a part of your word, your respect to your word. How strong are you with your word? How you hold on to the world, and that has changed whole perspective. And that's why I respect athletes, because what decisions we make in our lives that shows what decision we made in our rings, and also shows the characteristics of a person. Some people, I've seen people who are not good in fighting in the ring, but they're amazing athletes. It doesn't mean they're bad people. That means they're incredibly gifted, but some things they're not in some field. And talking about that, how many times have you recognized people, have you not even met, have you not even engaged in the ring with them, and you feel their energy? And I want to bring this energy part because, as you know, my show is called The Innate. It's within gifts that we do not know people have. And even when I never wrestled with you, when I just met you, a tiny little skinny guy, I was like, oh man, this is going to be easy. And I felt the energy without even wrestling with you. I said, this guy has got something in him. And that recognizing of that thing, you don't have to be an athlete. I just want people to know that you don't have to be anybody. No athlete, no swimmer, no diver, no wrestler, no boxer. You have to be yourself. And everybody's gifted with this unique gift. And this unique gift means it's a discipline that you do something. Maybe you don't eat a particular kind of food. Maybe you watch your food. Maybe you watch your discipline. Maybe you stop your desires. And what disciplines do you have? I want to know what disciplines that cause you so, I can feel the energy so strong. What is you think your strengths are that makes you who you are?
Ooh, that's such a broad question. How many hours do we have?
Well, well, there's certain things that you do that we...
I mean, the quick answer is everything starts within. It's not really something physical. It's everything starts within. Everything starts within yourself, right? It's truly finding yourself. It's finding who you are. Just who you want to be, your passions, your purposes in life, and so much of that is related to everything we do in life. You know, if you know, like I don't really understand myself or come to a place where I kind of like look within myself and figure out like what I want to do with my life, and so many, or what things that I truly am capable of or can do or want to do. That's the key is finding yourself. And the truth is there's really nobody in this world that can really stand there and tell you this is the life you should be living, because the truth is nobody knows you better than you know yourself. And then probably 99.99% of people out there will agree with that, because the life we go through and the things that we experience in life so much shapes and forms like who we become, like our athlete life, you know, and so much of that is implemented in our daily life. It forms like who we are. It's a part of us. So it's really within finding yourself in order to give yourself that full potential to reach your maximum self, you know. And then once you reach that maximum self, just keep pushing forward, because there's no such thing.
During your training competitions, tell me about how your personal life has a huge effect on your personal training. Like I noticed that athletes have two different lives. There's a training life,
yes,
and there's a personal life.
Yes.
And if you can't balance those things, that's when the problem starts.
Oh,
In
yeah.
my case, I had a huge big problem. I'm not going to go to that. That's why my life is unbalanced, but I had to sacrifice my personal life
Yeah.
for the sports that I chose, and I devoted my whole life to it. I did lose something because that's the part of sacrifice you do. But I was very impressed with your balancing of your life. And I think it's because of your dad, how he had managed to do that. So please, can you elaborate on that? How were you able to balance your life and still get married, have kids, and have this amazing personal life and still have your athlete career pulled on to that? And your studies at the time, I remember.
Yeah. Well, first, before I say it, my life is far from perfect. Daily challenges all the time. In order to get somewhere, was just so much that you have to overcome, and that's with everything in my life. There are so many roads that I failed on, and so many roads that I've learned from. And the truth is, we really never fail unless we don't really truly learn from it. And there's good and bad days, but you really answered it yourself. My father used to always tell me, and till this day tells me, balance. You must have balance in life in everything you do, right? If he would, when I was young and I started drinking, I started drinking, and he would look at me. He's like, you keep your balance, right? You take a couple of shots. If you're fine, you stop drinking, and that's where you take in that aspect and everything. If you work out too much, which happened to me in my fourth fight, yeah, I literally was working out 8 hours a day because and I burnt myself out. I literally had nothing in the tank when it came down to fight. I had nothing. It was just all empty. I looked great on the outside, in shape, probably the best shape I've ever looked in my life. But in the inside, like I was running on empty. I had no gas in the tank. It was nothing. I had nothing left. I had burnt it all out there. So it's all about balance. And then the food we eat and everything we do, the truth is it's a lot like measurement, right? If you think about it, we live a life of measurement. Everything, right? You got to leave 15 minutes early because of traffic. I got to sleep at this time in order to wake up at this time. Everything we do in life is measurement, right? The calories we count, which is not a bad thing, but we constantly live a life of measurement. Even the measurement of, which I don't really think is, honestly, in my own personal opinion, I don't think it's a good measurement. We were kind of talking about this the other day, and this might be a bad example, but I'll kind of give you an idea of what I'm talking about. We can't eat a pizza and say, this was a good pizza, because we have to compare it to our favorite pizza. And when we do that, it's not really that good. It's okay, but this pizza is. So the truth is, we can't really do that in our lives. We can't really compare anything to anyone else, because the truth is,
every experience is unique.
We could both watch a movie. Exactly, we could have different because everybody's perceiving it differently.
And I think that's the gift as being as an athlete, because everybody has the same moves, but very few people pull out unique moves, because they hone it and they modify their moves according to their own gifts and structure. Everyone plays golf. Tiger Woods plays golf. He plays in his own way, and he pulls the game the way he wants to go. I watch so many wrestlers, and I watch you wrestle. I say, wow, you made it into your own terms. Same thing with kickboxing. So many people kick, and I kick in a different way. But because I have put so much time, and just like you put so much time, you mold it according to the way you want to melt it to turn around in your favor. And I love the part that every person in the world knows how to wrestle, grapple, or punch or kick. But what makes this sport so unique, or any art, from artist to painter to singing, everybody knows how to sing, everybody knows how to paint. But what makes them unique is when they put so much time into it, they become a part of that art. Like wrestling, even when you talk, you wrestle the way you talk. Even when you engage with people, you behave the way you engage with people. And the reason I want to bring it up, that this language that you learn as in everything, I wish they would have taught us in school. Yes, they teach us how to talk, education, but I think the most fundamental education that we're missing is the understanding for ourselves. Once we understand, like, why do we overtrain? Because we have something in our head that we don't think is satisfied.
Yes.
Why do we less train? Because we're overconfident.
Yes.
We have so many things that we deal with on a regular basis. Understanding the philosophy of human nature is understanding ourselves.
Absolutely.
And tell me, if you would do one thing, go back in life, what would you want to do, and what would be the improvement thing would you want to do, and go back, and if you want to change anything what you so far you've accomplished, what would you do?
Listen to myself more. Listen to my heart more. This tells us what we want, and this a lot of times gets in our way. This and this should be in unison together. This tells us what we want, and this should tell us how to get there.
I'm so happy you said that, because the podcast, one of my couple podcasts that I did, I said the same thing. If you listen to your mind is it will give you so many solutions and problems, but the heart is a feeling. I tell people, when you love someone, you don't think, you feel.
Absolutely.
And you feel the heart is true. The heart has its own heartbeat. Please, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No. It's very true. The heart tells us what we want. The heart tells us who we are. The heart tells us so much about ourselves. Our minds should be connected together, and okay, how do we get there, right? Because even if my heart wants something that's out of reach, but the truth is, what's really out of reach? Nothing's out of reach. Everything is possible. The second we give ourselves limits, right, that's it. Right. I always tell myself this, and this is a practice, and if people are watching, they could kind of picture this in their own mind. Imagine you're standing in your own mind, and you find yourself, and you open, and you're looking around, you're wearing your favorite clothes, you're standing in a beautiful field, everything is beautiful, the weather's perfect, everything is perfect. There's butterflies flying around, birds chirping, it just looks perfect. You're just like, wow, it's amazing. You start walking. As you walk, you're walking around, you feel so peaceful, you feel love, you're in the moment, nothing else matters. But in the far distance, you see something. You see something, so you start approaching it, and as you walk, you see a huge wall, a gate. You don't see the end of it. You're looking right, you're looking left. You really don't see the end of it. Beyond that point is who you want to become. Beyond that point is your dreams, is your passion, is your goals, is in things in life that you want. So you have to ask yourself two questions there. This is how far I go? Or you have to realize that, and I put that wall there. I put that gate there. Break it down and continue. Because the truth is, we all allow so many things in our lives to change, and that's why it's so important. Just like a coach, just like you were to me, you adapted to me. If someone's having a certain issue, or someone's needs help or advice or something in their life, it's not about saying, hey, this is what I do right in my life, this is what you should be doing. It's helping that person find themselves. It's always about helping that person find themselves. I always imagine it this way. When we're lost in any situation in our life, we're hitchhikers, right? When you pull over to give someone a ride, what do you tell them? You tell them where you're going, right? You never say, this is where I'm going, you want to come with me. You always ask them where they're going, right? Because the truth is, that's our life. Where are you going? It's not about where I'm going and you want to go here. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. So the aspect is truly understanding that all those walls, all those barriers that we put within ourselves are broken down. And once that happens, all of a sudden, anything's possible. You will reach points in your life that you maybe never thought it was possible, because the truth is, you were just thinking in your own mind, and you could just run in circles and circles. I could be the smartest man in the world, but my mind will only go so far. Exactly. Right? So I got to get out of myself sometimes. I got to get out of myself in order to create more of myself. So that's so important. And, you take that aspect in sports and wrestling and kickboxing and all that stuff and your daily life, so. Yeah.
That's great. You talking about the same thing. I always talk about where you get to this point is meditation. How much time, for me, meditation, the only thing that saves me by myself and not killing myself and overtraining. How much time do you put on meditation?
A lot. And, everybody meditates differently. I meditate, and my sounds like a lot like thinking. Sometimes I just need to clear my mind so I don't want to think, right? It's like a reset button that I look for in myself. And sometimes that's with music. Sometimes that's just taking a walk, that's sometimes just even just distracting myself in order to clear my mind. Because sometimes I feel overloaded. Honestly, sometimes I feel like my brain is going to overheat, because
By the way, you just recently have two kids, right?
Two kids,
and they're twins. And you're so lucky you got twins. You got a boy and a girl at the same time. You're
my
lucky,
wife
man.
and I were truly blessed by God.
Congratulations!
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, biggest blessing. And it's there's so much that goes on. My wife does so much for the kids, and we both still work. And same with me. We need to put in. It's not like one baby where like, all right, your shift, my shift.
Yeah.
We both get a kid. Right now she's actually watching both of the kids.
I'm going to bring the subject next to your wife also. But because being a great athlete by yourself is not one man show. When you're married, it's a partnership.
Oh, absolutely.
And so I think a lot of credibility goes also to your partner, and your partner have to balance with you. No, I'm an athlete, so I'm going to take all the time because I need more time. You can't be selfish because your wife is doing her part. Absolutely. So how important, like, how much time do you spend with your wife, which a lot of athletes don't do it. And I've seen you balance your life. So I think we need to talk about a little bit about that. Tell me about your wife. When I met her, she was the most amazing, kindest person I met, humble, and you know her for such a long time, right?
Yeah, we've been together since high school.
Wow.
Yeah, so, we've experienced a lot of life together, and we were kids, teenagers.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so it's been long. It's been an amazing journey up to this point. So much that we've learned individually and about ourselves, and so much that made us closer. And also at the same time, like, we always constantly have so much room to grow within each other. Now we're parents, right? Yeah. There's only so long that you're boyfriend and girlfriend, and then we became husband and wife, and now we're parents. We're still husband and wife, but it definitely has its challenges with twins. It's so much, it's now life. Exactly. Revolves around them. I have my kids, I have my family, I have my wife, of course, we're all together, family, and then I have my work, and I have my business. So it's there's a lot that goes on.
Yeah, and people don't realize that, it's so hard to discover your own self, and then you have another partner you have to do with their their personality. And remember, they're constantly growing.
Yes.
Just like, when you meet a partner of yours, you have your own personality, and that's adapts, and they have personality growing up. So that's why it's so hard. Relationship, I think, is much harder than any sport I've ever been to. And to be honest with you, I think because the constantly, you never say I got this. No, you're constantly on the game. And if you do something, you get smacked right there, and just like a fight. So especially in a relationship, when you have kids with them, it's a constant battle. You're always on your tippy toes and watch out what you're saying.
It's a fight. It's a fight you never win.
You never, especially if you didn't sleep. If you didn't last night, you didn't have good conversation. You can't sleep all night. You have to worry about. It's important to balance things. I think the balancing life partner is the most. I really believe it's the most important thing for any partnership, to have a great partner, and it's constantly evolving. And so, what do you do for that? Does she train with you too? Do you work out together? Do you have some routines? Do you spend time together?
Honestly, right now, time is very difficult. I'll be honest. And before, honestly, we spent a lot of time together. It was more just time together, and we still spend a lot of time together, but it's with our children now, right? And when they're almost 18 months now.
Wow.
Running around, climbing everything, it's you must be in the moment, right?
Yeah.
If we're just lost in ourselves, my kids are, climb the TV, and they do. They push the table all the way to the stand, and they're climbing up stuff, and right when the kids go to sleep is when we have our times together and stuff like that. So but the truth is, that's a different chapter in our life. That's a different story that we're writing now. So if I compare it to all the free time we had before, the truth is I really don't want to, and I'll tell you why. Because my kids are truly the biggest blessing in our lives, both of our lives. So I appreciate everything that's happening. You know, a lot of times it gets difficult at times, and I'm sure a lot of parents could relate to this. And you know, you get so tired sometimes, and it's frustrating, and you're just like, oh, I just need some rest, you know, kind of thing. And she says it, she's on the same page too, you know. And every time, what kind of gets me off of that thinking, like right away, is I look at my kids and I'm saying, you know, they grow so fast.
Yeah,
There's gonna come a point where they don't even want to hang around with me anymore. So I need to enjoy these moments. I need to enjoy every stage in their life, because the truth is, it just like an athlete's life, it's a journey, right? So if I don't appreciate this journey, I won't fully come to the point in their lives. I mean, why do grandparents really love seeing their grandkids? Because for them, it's like they've experienced it, and a lot of times is, you know, we get caught up with work, so we gotta work so much, and we miss a lot of things that we wish we were there for our kids, right? And then that's understandable, right? We sacrifice for the greater good, where we have to work in order to pay for our kids' ballet lessons or soccer practices or stuff like that. But in order to do that, I have to go to work, so I have to miss my son's soccer.
Yeah.
Right? Now you have grandparents that have lived a life like that have sacrificed their time when they were young, and they had kids. They had to work, so a lot of their kids' events and upbringing and just special moments that you want to be there for, they missed out on. Now, when your kids have kids, now you get to relive all that again, and you don't miss anything, right? So for them, it's like they understand that. And the truth is, like, I learned that through my parents, seeing them go through that, and how like they are, and they've always want to be involved in anything, because it looks back at it, and my father worked so hard.
Yeah.
My father, the day he came to America, the next day he started working, and he never stopped till today. Wow. You know, so he worked so hard. I mean, like 7 days a week. I mean, when he first started, he had 3 jobs. You know, how much of that value of that time can you put within your family and this, that, like he sacrificed so much. So to see that again truly makes me happy, you know, and to teach myself right now, like, even if I'm just watching my kids, just enjoy the moments, like, instead of like being, it's hard, but it's something that you go through once.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure. Well, if you talked about the fighters, athletes, we just don't talk about athletes of just himself, the mindset, the family, the relationship, the choices we make constantly, going through all the routine. As a complete fighter, we are not just specifically stuck with one frame of mind. It's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle people understand: relationship, workout ethic, discipline, mannerism, etiquette, personality, dealing with people around you, how you cope up with them, your own family. So this is a part of your life. No matter what you do in life, it's always going to stay with you. It's important how we behave with each other, and teaches us so much about ourselves. And Andy, I want to say, Sam, do you have any questions for me? Because at the end of the show, I always give my guest a question, and this is a question before we end the show. Any particular question you have for me that I can answer before we end the show?
There's a lot of questions, but I'm trying to pick the most important.
Take your time. Yeah. You don't ask me too hard questions. I'm just joking.
What helps you? What reminds you to be in one with yourself? Heart and mind.
Heart and mind, to be with myself?
Yes, every day. What do you do to constantly tell yourself, Majid, like, this is what I want in my life, or this is what I want out of the day, or this is where I want to reach? What do you tell yourself? Right? You're listening to yourself, how do you constantly remind yourself?
You know, Andy, this is a very good question, because I don't know if you know that I mentioned this before, and for me, it's easy to answer that question. When I got sick and I was on my deathbed, and I remember I was dying, and I saw myself literally floating out of my body. When I came out of that, I start swimming, I start riding motorcycles, I start being in everything, any possible way when I got a chance. I would spend every day what I want to do, and I wish, because all the material stuff will be left behind. I spend much, as if I spend a second with my son, I want to make sure I give him everything, whatever I can. If I'm with my friends, I want to make sure if this is the last conversation I had, I give him everything that I could in that conversation. And I'm not saying desperately, like I want to be full. Like if I leave today, if this was the last conversation we had, I would say, you know what? I want nothing was left behind. That I say, Andy, I love you. You're a great athlete. I love your parents. I love your family and what you've given for me. I want to make sure that I give my fullest, like you've been talking about being present. And I recognized when I was on my bed, everything. The only thing mattered to me that how I was dealing with people. And that moment really woke me up. Like I have a chance again to go back in the world and tell everything that I missed, my mom, my sister, my sons, my family, that how much I care about them, and my friends, who people think is nothing, but friends are the time that you spend with. In a whole lifetime, you have a certain hours with it. How much time you spend with your colleagues and your friends, they're actually your family. They become your family. And not giving respect and time to them, it's that's the sad part. And I would say, if anybody, like Andy was saying all the time, that you are a guest here. So be a good guest and act like a good guest and be good to everyone. So when you leave, they say, you know, he was a good guest. He came in the house. He was gone. So that's the only thing I would say. Andy, I hope I answered your question.
That was amazing. I mean, I don't. That was so inspiring at the same time. Wow, thank you for sharing that.
Thank you, man. And thank you for having on the show. And Andy, thank you so much for coming up. And guys, see you soon. Thank you for Nate's show. And keep posted up upcoming. We have upcoming show coming up. Keep you posted. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Sound